What profession was once highly respected but is now a complete joke? Grocery store clerk. In the old days it was a respectable position to hold. Nowadays it's viewed as a kid job, minimum wage grunt job. I worked in 3 grocery stores. Some of the management positions or heads can be respected, but all of the stockers or cashiers are treated like absolute garbage by people. There's only so many times can scream, complain are you before you just say, dude, I just work here. What the fuck, but no, I have to apologize and make them feel better. No wonder the average stocker or cashier only lasted a few months. Unless you're in small towns. You yell at a small town cashier and she's there for the next 20 years and hates you. Teaching. My migrant parents still think it is still a respected career, but teachers are treated horribly. Not only by students, have so much responsibility and work to do, and don't get paid nearly enough for any of it. I feel like where I live they're still respected, but definitely don't get paid enough. They also deal with terrible parents and children too much as well. Law enforcement seem on par with the current trend. When's the last time you met a blacksmith? Dark Souls probably. Clang clang clang, prithee be careful. Nighttime radio DJ. That medium is barely relevant anymore. If you're not on the air during morning or afternoon drive, you're just filler. Real estate agent. Before the internet, an agent would have to inform you of houses for sale, etc. Now they basically get paid to sign some documents. I live in Vancouver, and over the last several years I've seen many situations where a buyer goes out, does their own house hunting, and then the agent comes in to arrange the paperwork and collects $20,000 for doing a couple hours of work. Felt like I paid someone an awful lot to read Zillow search results to me. Lawyer used to be really respectable. Now, with a glut of law schools providing an oversupply of lawyers and shows like Better Call Saul, depicting a less prestigious form of lawyer, the profession has taken a big hit. Lawyers were ruined because of lawyers. Source: am lawyer. Boy, you sure are a contentious bunch. Dude, lawyers were hated since Shakespeare. First, kill all the lawyers, even as far back as Ethics of the Fathers. Don't make yourself like those who argue cases before the judges. Engineering drafter. The trade used to be filled with highly skilled tradesmen who were skilled in both mathematical and artistic talent. Now a lot of the industry is filled with ITT grads who only know how to click a button. The trade itself is dying as engineers are being forced to do more of their own computer drafting. I am an engineering technologist, and from where I sit engineers are mostly managers now, while the technologists have widely taken over a good portion of what people typically think engineers do. Might just be the trend where I work though. I'd say engineering drafters have just been replaced by technologists as a job title. POTUS. Blue-collar jobs. Or anything that needs manual labor. Now they're just seen as jobs for people who didn't finish high school or couldn't graduate, get into college. And it sucks. Yeah, which is weird because they pay really good money in some places. And not just because it's labor intensive. Some of those jobs are incredibly technical and demand a lot of engineering skills. Journalism. Really though, imagine going to journalism school these days. I can still remember the big fat newspapers when I was a kid. That's how you got the scores from the night before. They were so important. I can't imagine what it's like for a journalist that's about to retire now. Who started in, say, 1985? Such an important job. All the advertisers had to go through you. And now you are barely relevant. Being a philosopher. I'd say they were always pretty disrespected. Many of the most quoted philosophers either were treated like mooches by their patrons, or lived shitty, short lives constantly in fear of being put on trial by whatever authority might take exception to their work. Jesters. Now they're all clowns. Today's jesters are all in Hollywood, just there for your entertainment. And when they start piping up about politics, remember their skill is pretending. Hate to say it, But Catholic priest, you can barely mention it without the pedophilia joke seeping into the conversation somewhere. It is kind of a shame. Really. Not for the priests but for the various other valid criticisms you could levy against the church and the priesthood. Systematically abusing children gets all the attention. Catholic priests have been in ill repute before. At one point a few hundred years ago, some guy got so pissed off, he ended up starting a new church. I think his name was Gibson Luthier. Something like that. Gotta feel sorry for Sinead O'Connor. She got death threats for talking about what is common knowledge these days. News reporter. IDK what you're talking about. I only get the most professional, respectable impression when I read about how this celebrity got slammed on social media for punching a disabled child in the face, only to click the article and read about how a few random people upvoted a meme when a celebrity doing a Make-A-Wish accidentally bumped into the child and promptly apologized with no further issue. And really can't begin to express the kind of top talent it takes to find a viral video and make an article that narrates everything that happens in the video without even trying to pretend you did any further research than just watching the video. If crappy pop culture news was their worst sin, that would be one thing. But the amount of bare-faced politicking and running with narratives before the facts get their pants on is absolutely disgraceful. It was bad enough when they chose being first over being right. But nowadays it's just advance the right, left-wing narrative at all costs and move on to the next half-truth as soon as they start to catch on. YTF is being a warrior solely devoted to reclaiming the holy city for Christendom, no longer widely respected and sustainable occupation. It was 1527, and you types were the ones sacking the holy city. Barbering used to be shamans and surgeons in their respective societies. Now I hear, oh you just cut hair, and oh my friend cut hair until they got a real job from people driving beat-up cars while I drive a 2016 Ford Edge. Just seems silly to call my job fake when ya don't even have stable work and still have to ask your boss to take a piss. Greater than 2016 Ford Edge weird flex. It's not a flex, it's an edge. Didn't you even read the comment? Maybe that's what a Ford Edge actually is. A weird Ford flex. People who say that are pricks. There's a big difference between a good barber and a crap barber, even for someone like me who just has a graded cut and it's worth paying for, respecting what's required. Banking. My great-grandfather was a bank manager for the State Rural Bank. Back then, in a country town, the banker was a trusted friend and advisor within the community. My great-grandfather used that power to help many. He helped many non-English-speaking migrants to set up bank accounts and save and eventually to buy homes. There are many Italian and Greek descendant people in town here whose families are wealthy. Few of them realize that all started with the advice and help my great-grandfather gave their grandparents' great-grandparents a long time ago. He was also the first rural bank manager to hire an indigenous person as a bank clerk. Head office told him to fire the guy. He told head office he wouldn't. Head office threatened to fire him and the clerk. Word got out and within a week head office was flooded with letters, calls and telegrams from supportive community members saying, "Leave our bank manager alone. We support Hi Monsieur." During COVID, all the Australian banks lowered everyone's mortgage payments to help them out, whether you asked for it or not. Ours got reduced from $90 per week to $20 per week. Read the fine print. You still get charged interest and your mortgage is actually increasing as you are not paying off the minimum anymore. Our mortgage has gone up because of this. But no, I have to go into the branch to get my repayments put back to where they were. Well done banks for making it look like you helped us all out when what you actually did is push the payments back to make us owe you more money. Map maker. Cartographers used to get all the pussy. Now they've been replaced by cars and drones. Do cars and drones really need that? Don't kink shame. Map making in the traditional sense? Maybe, but not in the modern sense. The U.S. government alone has a huge number of geodesists, geographers, hydrographers, GIS techs, and a host of other professions maintaining our GPS satellites. A network of public imagery satellites, Landsat, MODIS, Sentinel satellite, and weather imagery satellites. We've got boots on the ground, too. Ground truthing, using drones, ships. It's especially hard to map underwater with satellites and ports. Rivers, channels need to be accurately mapped. And the European Union, China, Russia, India, and any other aspiring nation needs geographic information to make intelligent, rapid decisions. This also extends into the private sector. There are private satellite constellations that supplement government ones. GIS technicians are making maps of everything. Where are cities' construction sites? What areas are affected after a hurricane? Where will the airborne pollution from that factory outside of town go? Where were all those BLM protests actually occurring? Map making is a joke now? No, we're in a damn golden age of map making. You can find a map of almost anything. And why? Because we've got a huge and rapidly growing number of professionals that are allowing us to see the world like we've never seen it before. Are you in this field? I just graduated with a bachelor's degree in geography with a specialization in GIS and spatial analysis. Any career tips? I'm a hydrographer for NOAA mapping Alaskan waters. So my advice is to be willing to go where your skills are valued and always be looking for opportunities. YMMV. Not everybody wants to be in Alaska for months at a time. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.